Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Off the Dome podcast. It is season 3. It is episode 6. We're back again. Another week down in the NBA, and another week where I've got another podcast out on time. We're vibing. We're chilling. That's what's up. Got a little bit to talk about this week. This isn't going to be as long of an episode as last week's was. Last week was damn near an hour by myself, talking, ranting. I'm sorry about that, y'all. But this week, it'll be a little bit of a shorter one. All right. I think that's good for everybody. Talking about the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls. All right. Two teams that have really caught not only my eye, but a lot of other people's eye. But they have caught my eye for, I think, a different reason than they've caught the eye of the majority of NBA fans out there. And I'd like to tell you guys why they have caught my eye. Number 2, the MVP ladder. The NBA released their first official MVP ladder, I think it was. First or second. It's still very early in the year, though. I'm going to go through the 10 guys that they have there in order. Let y'all know my thoughts, their stats, how their team's doing, this, that, and the other, how the MVP normally goes. I was going to go through the city jerseys, but those came out like on Monday, and now is Sunday, and I don't think anybody gives a shit anymore. I don't either. So, yeah, it's chill. Up next, I noticed a few teams this year, specifically the Atlanta Hawks really got me thinking about this. The Atlanta Hawks, and it was also, who was it? The Hawks and the Suns. But the Hawks really put me onto this. I wanted to look back at previous years at the most surprising team from every single playoff run. The Hawks last year were pretty surprising, getting to the third round of the playoffs. Not a lot of people had expected that going into the playoffs. I wanted to look back at years past and see how the most surprising team, to me in my eyes, how they performed in the playoffs the year after they made their surprising run. Gonna go through that. That'll be really quick. And finally, we're gonna finish things off with the hot takes section. All right, looking through y'all's hot takes that you guys have left under my TikTok videos over the past week. I've got 4 this week that I wanted to go through, look at. I just kind of picked the ones that I think are the most interesting ones. But I appreciate all of the hot takes you guys leave. I read through them, and I think I'm going to start responding to a lot of them that I'm not going to respond to in the videos. I'm going to start just commenting, responding to them, because I haven't really been doing that at all this year whatsoever. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. The MVP ladder. The NBA released, I think it is their first, I'm going to say it's their first official MVP rankings, and it was pretty interesting. There was pretty much all the names, no one really surprising in the top 10. There was Rudy Gobert in the top 10, who I guess you could say is surprising. He's been playing very good, and he's not, your typical suspect when you think of the MVP. But going through it, the NBA's MVP ladder this week, Kevin Durant in first place, Steph Curry in second place, or should I go the other way around? I don't know. What will look better on TikTok? I'm going to go the other way around. If you're watching it on YouTube, I'm sorry, but you got to understand that the TikTok videos is what gets me followers. All right, I'm sorry. That's just how the bullshit goes. EDP once said that. I'm sorry for quoting a pedophile. We're going to move on. The NBA's MVP ladder, first week. I think it's their first week of putting it out. This is how it went. Nikola Jokic at number 10. At number 9, they went with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 8 was Anthony Davis. Number 7, Luka Doncic. Number 6, Rudy Gobert. Bit of a shocker there. Number 5, DeMar DeRozan. He's been going crazy this year. Number 4, Ja Morant. Number 3, Jimmy Butler. Much love to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy G Buckets. The G stands for gets, by the way, if you guys forgot about that. And number 2 went to Steph Curry. Number 1 went to Kevin Durant. Easy money sniper, as he calls himself on the gram. Going through that, I'm first going to kick off with the obvious. So far this year, Kevin Durant's the MVP. He has to be. Kevin Durant, I think Steph Curry, he's been, I don't really want to say underwhelming Steph Curry, but Steph Curry got off to a really hot start. And I think he's cooled down a little bit as far as straight up points goes. His team is still winning a lot of basketball games, though. And that's the thing. But the fact that the Warriors are winning tons of games right now, and they've got the best record in the NBA, that has more to do with the players around Steph Curry than with Steph Curry as an individual specifically. I don't think that's a knock on Steph Curry either. Just the Warriors as a whole team right now have been really, really impressive. That's about it. Steph Curry, 26, 7 and 7. He's got his team to the 8-1 record, the best record in the Western Conference, the best record in the NBA. Steph Curry isn't my MVP right now. My MVP is actually Kevin Durant. KD right now putting up 28, 9 and 5 on 61% effective field goal percentage. 7-3. The Brooklyn Nets are starting to come on and on. Now, Brooklyn have won 5 games in a row. They're the 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. They'll be moving up pretty soon. Philadelphia, Miami, Brooklyn, the top 3 right now in the East. It's pretty natural, standard top 3, sort of what you'd expect at this point in the season, except for there is no Milwaukee up there. I thought Boston would be up higher, but I fucked up by thinking Boston was going to be good this year. Okay, what the fuck is happening in Boston, man? I'm sorry for jinxing y'all. At the 3 spot, the NBA had Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler putting up 25, 6 and 5, 53 effective field goal percentage. His team is 7-2, second in the Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat are going crazy. Jimmy Butler's going crazy. He's looking like the man who led the Miami Heat to the NBA Finals a year ago in 2020 in the bubble. Jimmy G Buckets is getting buckets. Kyle Lowry's doing his thing. I've seen a few Miami Heat games now, and I can safely say that this team is a danger and is a threat to get out of the Eastern Conference. If Kyrie Irving does not come back, and again, pretty much everything I say about the Eastern Conference is barring Kyrie Irving doesn't come back. Because if Kyrie's healthy and Kyrie is healthy, he's just not. Kyrie's got a lot of bullshit going on, bro. But if Kyrie, Harden, and KD and the Brooklyn Nets are at full strength in the playoffs, they're going to the finals. They just are. I don't care how good Chicago or Miami or whoever the fuck you want to say. They're not beating Brooklyn. They're just not. I think we can all agree on that. Can't we, as an NBA community, as a collective whole, can we just all agree that if Brooklyn is fully healthy and all their guys are there in the playoffs, they will win. They just will. That's the Brooklyn Nets. They're fucking good. All right? Newsflash. The thing with Brooklyn is they're not going to be all there. Like, they're just not. Even if Kyrie comes back and is immunized or fucking vaccinated or whatever the hell, I just kind of used some Aaron Rodgers term there. All right? If you caught that, big ups. But even if Kyrie comes back, James Harden is probably going to have some shit going on with him. Kevin Durant's going to have some shit going on. Somebody along the line in Brooklyn is going to have some shit going on in their body. All right, that's just how it goes. But the Miami Heat this year, barring a fully healthy Brooklyn Nets team or fully put together Brooklyn Nets team come playoff time, the Miami Heat are a team that I can see in the finals again. I really can. Miami looks damn good. And they're a team, Look, the thing with Miami is Miami's a team that they're full of players who have proven themselves in the playoffs. That's why I think that's why I trust Miami to go farther in the playoffs than the Chicago Bulls. Chicago and Miami, a lot of similarities between them. The thing with Chicago is they're made up of a bunch of players who haven't done shit in the playoffs, other than DeMar DeRozan making the Eastern Conference Finals in 2016. That's the fact of the matter. They've got champions on their team. They have guys like Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler. They're stars. Tyler Hero. Their stars have all gone on long playoff runs and been a big part of contending NBA teams in the past. Chicago, they don't have the luxury of having those kinds of players. This might be the year that they all have that run, though. All right, but Miami's a team that they're scary. Ja Morant, 4th right now in the MVP rankings. Shout out Ja Morant. A year ago, I would have said Ja Morant and Zion Williamson is not a comparison. Zion is way better than Ja. I would have said that a year ago. But right now, Ja Morant, bro, he might have been the best pick out of the 2019 draft. Shit, the guy's balling. 25, 6 and 7. His team is 5th in the Western Conference right now as I'm recording this video. Ja's cooking. Ja's doing his thing. I'm a big fan of the Memphis Grizzlies. I love what the Memphis Grizzlies have built. They've got a lot of great young guys, and this is a team that, similar to how they were at the beginning of the last decade when they had Zebo, Marc Gasol, Mike Conley. They had that team. What was the nickname of the Memphis Grizzlies back then? They had Tony Allen too. It was like the Knit and Grit Grizzlies, some shit like that. Now I got to look up the fucking nickname. But the Memphis Grizzlies at the beginning of the decade was a very intimidating team and had a lot of deep playoff runs. I think they made the Western Conference Finals at one point. Memphis Grizzlies nickname. I have to look it up now. I'm sorry. It's just one of those things that fucks with me. Early 2000s. God damn, why am I like this? Early 2010s. But the Memphis Grizzlies at the beginning of the decade, I can't find it. Whatever, who cares? It doesn't. I care, but we move on. All right, DeMar DeRozan, 5th in the MVP ranking. Right now, I'd probably have DeMar DeRozan a little bit higher. 27, 6-4, 53 effective field goal percentage. DeMar DeRozan's balling out. Okay, those are the top 5 MVP rankings in the MVP race so far that the NBA's put out. I'm fumbling over my words. Shit, let me readjust this microphone. For me, my top five this year. So far, I'm looking through this. So far, I think Kevin Durant is the MVP so far. I think I'd give KD the MVP right now. At number 2, sure, I'll give Steph Curry the nod at number 2. Number 3, that's where it gets interesting. That's where I'm looking at a guy like Nikola Jokic. That's where I'm looking at a guy like John Morant, Jimmy Butler, and DeMar DeRozan. Those are the 4 guys that I have rounding out the top 5. Number 1 in the MVP, KD. Number 2, Steph Curry. Number 3, I'm leaning towards Jimmy Butler. I'll give Jimmy Butler the three spot in the MVP ranking. Number 4, I'm going to go with Nikola Jokic, my boy. And number 5, between John Morant and DeMar DeRozan, I'm going to pick DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan's just been going crazy. Shout out to John Morant, though. I mean, Jaw's been terrific this year. He really has been. I touched on the Bulls and the Miami Heat just now, talking about their chances in the playoffs and this, that, and the other. But one very interesting thing that I've been noticing now as the Bulls and the Miami Heat, they've lost a few games now. I think the Bulls have lost 2 in a row. Miami just lost 1. Chicago's 5th in the West, or 5th in the East now. Miami's 2nd. I think Miami's much more legit than Chicago. That's been my take all season long. It has. I think Miami's got a better chance to go further in the playoffs than Chicago. But one thing and what I'm about to say is more true for the Chicago Bulls than the Miami Heat, but it's still kind of true for the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls remind me a lot of the Toronto Raptors and the Boston Celtics the last 4 or 5 years, barring the year that Kawhi Leonard was in Toronto when the Raptors won an NBA championship. Here's why. Toronto and Boston, great passionate fans. They've got great fans. They really do. The fans always support them. The fans are loud. Fans are vocal. Fans, they criticize anybody who talks shit about their team. Fair enough. That's what good fan bases do. Are the fans toxic? Yeah. But aren't all fans toxic? Pretty much. But the thing with Toronto and Boston over the past few years, other than the 2019 year when Toronto got Kawhi Leonard and won an NBA championship, fair play, y'all deserve that. Both of those franchises' fan bases ridiculously overhyped the shit out of their team all season long and genuinely believe their team's got a chance at the chip before their team crumbles and falls in the playoffs. That's what happens. That's what's happened the past 5 years, 6 years. All year long I hear, Toronto this, Toronto that, Boston's going to go all the way, Boston's going to go. And what happens in the playoffs, other than 2019? It all comes falling down. And I'm getting the same vibes from Chicago. I'm getting the same vibes from Miami, more so Chicago. Chicago this year is the same kind of shit. All their fans are riding the Chicago Bulls hype train. They're saying they're going to the finals. They're saying they got a chance at the chip. I'm telling y'all right now, Chicago, you really remind me of Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors the years past, where you get all this hype, you talk all this talk in the regular season and shit. Y'all look great at times, but come playoff time, when the rubber meets the road, it crumbles and falls and you get gentlemen swept in the second round. Those are the vibes I'm getting from your team this year, all right? Y'all can hate me, and I'm sure you will. That's what good fan bases do. They don't let people talk shit about their team. I'm talking shit about your team right now, okay? I would expect you to hate on me. I'm fully aware of the fact that you will be hating on me. But I'm just giving you my perspective on your team, my POV, my point of view. It might be a tough pill to swallow for most of you. But I think it's the truth. Only time will tell, though. Only time will tell. I'm much better at talking about what's already happened than what will happen. My predictions are often shit, okay? So that's just a disclaimer right there. Let's move on. I mentioned earlier the Atlanta Hawks caught my eye. The Atlanta Hawks last year. One sec. The Atlanta Hawks last year made the Eastern Conference Finals. Who the fuck thought that would happen? This year, they're the 12th seed. They're 4-6. Trae Young, what the fuck is happening? A lot of the guys in their team is struggling. Okay, the new rule changes affecting Trae Young. They're affecting a lot of different players, but Trae Young has been affected. It's weird, though. One guy, I don't know how the fuck the Milwaukee Bucks are 10th, by the way. That's just kind of, I'm just throwing it out there. This wasn't a topic of discussion. I think Milwaukee will turn it around. But what are the Bucks doing in the 10 seed right now? At this point in the year, we're starting to see the usual suspects in the Eastern Conference rising to the top. The cream is rising to the top, as they say. We got Philadelphia, Miami, Brooklyn, Chicago's up there. Washington's still top 5. I don't know what the fuck, like, that's not gonna last long. But fucking Milwaukee's in the 10 seed. What? Shit, give it time. Wait till Christmas, and then we can start actually analyzing that shit. The Atlanta Hawks, okay, they've caught my eye. And I wanted to look back, because in my opinion, the Hawks, and you could argue the Suns as well. I've written the Hawks and Suns here. The Hawks and Suns last year were the playoff surprises. They were the teams that surprised the most people last year in the playoffs. I think that's a fair statement to make. Phoenix, they were the 2 seed, but they were not the favorites to even make it out of the first round because they were going up against the Lakers. They beat the Lakers, they then swept the Nuggets, and they beat the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, fair enough. And then they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Suns and the Hawks last year were my biggest surprises. And I wanted to look back at previous years. I've gone back to 2016. I wanted to look back at previous years' playoffs, most surprising team, and how did they do in the playoffs the year after they were that surprising team. Let's start back in 2016. The 2016's most surprising playoff team, in my opinion, was the Cleveland Cavaliers. They won the NBA championship. I think that any team in 2016 winning the NBA championship, other than the Golden State Warriors, who went 73-9 that year, is the biggest surprise in the playoffs. They just would be in my eyes. No one expected that to happen, especially when you're down 3-1 in the series. I think Cleveland in 2016, they were the playoff surprise. And what happened the year after that? They lost in the finals. All right, Kevin Durant went to Golden State. All right, what can you expect? 2017 is an interesting year. I said there were no playoff surprises in 2017. 2017, the top 2 seeds, the 1-2 seed in both conferences were in the conference finals. Golden State and San Antonio in the West, 4-0 Golden State, no Kawhi Leonard. Cleveland, Boston in the East, 4-1 Cleveland. Pretty standard stuff. That's what we expected going into that. There were no surprises there, and Golden State wins in the finals. That was it. There was no real big upset. Utah upset the Clippers in the first round. I'm looking through it right now. But that's it. There was only one upset in the entire playoffs in 2017. 2017. 2018, the biggest upset, the biggest surprise in the playoffs were the Boston Celtics in my eyes. The Celtics that was the year that they had Kyrie Irving, but Kyrie was hurt and didn't play in the playoffs, and there was all this speculation about the Celtics are better without Kyrie Irving, which at the time I thought was complete bullshit. I'm like, what are you talking about? But upon further review, after my VAR check, yeah, I know the Celtics were better without Kyrie, which is weird as shit. But they were. They were, and they were led by rookie Jason Tatum, a young Jaylen Brown. Their team was young as shit in 2016. It's a lot of the same players who are playing on the team now, but now they suck. 2018 Celtics had LeBron on the ropes twice. What fucked up timeline would we be living in now if in 2018 the Celtics beat the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals? Or I'll do you one better. What if the Pacers beat the Cavaliers in the first round? Remember, the Pacers had the Cavs 4-4. They had it in Game 7 in the first round. 2018 was a weird year. But the Celtics in 2018 were my biggest playoff surprise. The year after that, they went out in the second round. 2019, the year the Celtics went out in the second round, 2019, the biggest playoff surprises for me were the Portland Trail Blazers out in the West, who made it to the Western Conference Finals, got swept. But the fact that they were even in that series is so weird and pretty much has everything to do with the fact that CJ McCollum was a demigod against the Denver Nuggets in one of the best playoff series of the decade. It really was. That featured a quadruple overtime game in which Rodney Hood hit a big shot, and I still remember exactly where I was standing when that happened. Great times, great memories right there. 2019 Blazers and the Toronto Raptors winning the NBA championship in 2019. Blazers and Raptors in the 2019 playoffs were the biggest surprises. No, like Toronto winning, going into the playoffs and predicting Toronto to win the NBA championship, you would have been seen as an idiot. Shit, I would have looked at you. I would have laughed at you. Going into the finals, I would have laughed at you for picking Toronto. Against Golden State, against that juggernaut, even without Kevin Durant, Toronto got it done. They did, fair enough. The year after that, Toronto went out in the second round. The Blazers went out in the first round. You notice in a pattern here. These teams don't do as well as they did the year before. 2020, the biggest playoff surprises, the Miami Heat making the NBA Finals, going into the playoffs as another team where you're like, Miami, they're going to have to get through Milwaukee. They're going to have to get through a bunch of other teams. Boston, fucking fair play. They went all the way through. And who did they play in the first round again? Let me just do some research on the fly right now. They beat the Pacers, swept the Pacers in the first round, and then they beat the Milwaukee Bucks, they beat the Boston Celtics, and were in the NBA Finals, and they got 2 games off the Lakers. They did. They almost got a third. I think they almost won one of the games, but AD had a buzzer beater or some shit like that. I put Heat, the first surprise in 2020. The year after that, they went out in the first round. And the second surprise team were the Denver Nuggets, who made the Western Conference Finals. They made the comeback against the Clippers. Not only a 3-1 comeback, but if you remember that Clippers-Nuggets series, the Nuggets made a 3-1 series comeback, but in every game they made like a 15-point-plus comeback. Nikola Jokic, holy shit, was he good that playoff series. That was insane. And then the year after that, the Nuggets go out in the second round. Last year, Suns make the finals. They're not going back to the finals this year. I don't think so. And the Hawks made the third round. They're not going to make the third round this year, in my opinion. That's how it goes. I don't know. That's sort of like a weird rabbit hole that I went down. I just started thinking about that, and that's just kind of where it took me. We're on to the last segment real quick. I told y'all this is going to be a shorter episode, okay? And I mean, that's good for y'all, but it's good for me too because I don't have to edit an hour-long podcast and a bunch of different TikTok clips. I'm sorry, I'm recording this at like 9:21. I'm reading a clock, so sorry. I'm kind of an idiot. All right, hot takes. I got them all right here on my phone. One sec. I screenshotted them. I liked your comment. If you sent in a hot take that I thought was hot enough for me to take a look at, that was funny. First up, _U_C_hoops says, hot take, Snyder will be fired by the end of the season because of lack of adjustments and preferring traditional centers over floor-spacing big men. I like this hot take a lot. The Utah Jazz, Quinn Snyder, of course, Utah Jazz, that's who he's referring to here. The Utah Jazz got themselves in a little bit of a fucking problem here, I think. They got themselves a center who is just born in the wrong time. Rudy Gobert, he is a center. Put Gobert back in the day, back when centers would rule the earth like the fucking dinosaurs. Gobert would be much more impactful. The thing with Utah is, and I don't think you can blame Quinn Snyder for this, is they paid Gobert a lot of money. Like to the tune of over $200 million over the course of 5 years. They have Gobert locked in. The fact that Gobert is there, I don't think is Quinn Snyder's fault. Unless Quinn Snyder had a big say in locking up Rudy Gobert. I think Quinn Snyder is one of the best head coaches in the NBA. I wouldn't put, and the thing, and that's the other thing too. You can it's easy to say, why doesn't Quinn Snyder just not play Rudy Gobert? Gobert, you pay the man so much money, you can't just sit him on the bench. You can't just do that. When you pay someone the kind of money you pay Rudy Gobert, you can't just say, hey, all right, sit on the bench for like an entire game. You can't do that. Down the stretch, in certain points of the game, sure. But I think Quinn Snyder's really started to adjust that, and this is the year for Utah that if something's going to happen, I feel like it has to be this year. Quinn Snyder is not the problem for me in Utah. I think Gobert can work in Utah. They just have to find the right players around him. They got Donovan Mitchell. But a guy like Joe Ingles, we all love Joe Ingles. Jordan Clarkson. guys we love, but in the playoffs, are they the guys you want to be relying on to not just get buckets, which we know they can do, but to play defense and give you nitty-gritty games? They're not the kind of players that I want to be doing that. Even Gobert, I don't think of Gobert as a nitty-gritty player. Utah, I mean, they have a few of those guys, but there's something about Utah. I don't know. Like they're a weird team. But I will say this about the Utah Jazz: is if the Jazz, with their team that they have right now, they're kind of in a golden era. They've got the team. They're winning in the regular season. They're finishing really high up in the standings every single season. The Jazz have a window of opportunity right now to do something in the playoffs, and if it doesn't happen this year, if they can't make at least the Western Conference Finals this year, I mean, shit, I don't know when it will happen. I really don't. So that was the first hot take. I appreciate you sending that one in. I like that one a lot. It was an insightful one. Next one, Dust.1G says, hot take, Spurs make the play-in. I like this hot take. As a Spurs fan, of course, I would love to see the Spurs playing in a meaningful basketball game. That'd be very fun to see. I just don't think it'll happen, unfortunately, because not only am I a pessimist when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, but they're just not good enough. Like that, I can't see it happening. I mean, they might have a chance, but it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I think the West, they have a bottom five. Right now, they're the bottom five teams in the standings, but I think it's going to stay that way. Minnesota, OKC, San Antonio, Houston, and New Orleans, they're the bottom five teams in the West. The bottom five. And there's a distinct cutoff between the bottom five in the West and the top 10. I don't think there will be any crossover this season, unfortunately. So Spurs to the play-in, as much as I'd love to see that happen, it's not going to happen in my eyes. Hot take, Kendrick Lamar is the GOAT of rap. This comes in from Cruzlands I999. That made me think of Travis Scott when it comes in on Go Off 9999. Kendrick Lamar, GOAT of rap. I think as far as straight up rapping goes, this has nothing to do with basketball, all right? But I want to talk about it. It's my show. Don't guard me. Kendrick Lamar, as far as straight up rapping goes, I think he's a GOAT. I don't think nobody can out-rap Kendrick Lamar. You can't. I don't think so. There's a lot of great rappers, but no. As far as whose music I enjoy the most is Drake's. I'm sorry. Pardon me for being kind of basic when it comes to that. But yeah, the GOAT rapper for me is a bunch of different kind of aspects. First off, straight up rapping, the art. Kendrick Lamar is the best rapper. Kendrick's never going to get out-rapped. When it comes to the most influential rapper of all time, Jay-Z's the GOAT. Jay-Z's the most goated rapper, most goated artist out there. Jay-Z made everybody rich. All right, you can't talk down on Jay-Z. When it comes to Kanye's the GOAT of something. He is, and he's like the production GOAT, I guess you could say. He's kind of he changed the game more than anybody else, GOAT in that sense. But then whose music do I enjoy the most? It's Drizzy Drake's, all right? How do you like that answer? I shared love to like my favorite four guys by answering the same question 4 different ways. I mean, that takes some skill. That takes some talent right there. That's what's up. All right, we got one more hot take coming in here before we end off this episode. It's been a fun one so far. Short one so far. So fuck with. Caleb Prater 0 says, hot take, Heat are going back to the finals. PJ to guard KD, Jimmy to guard Harden, and they don't have a big to guard Bam Adebayo. What you're doing is dangerous. What you're saying is kind of facts, though. All right. What I mean by what you're doing is dangerous is I hate when people look at two teams straight up and just say, this team or this guy can guard this guy can guard that guy, this guy can guard that. That's not how it works. Okay, I don't like doing that because in a game situation, at the start of the possession, sure, Jimmy will guard Harden. But you done got Harden all sorts of fucked up if you don't think that he's going to find a way to get Jimmy Butler off him. He's going to call screens. He's going to do this. He's going to run off the ball. Harden's not going to be guarded by Jimmy Butler on every possession. It might happen once or twice if the Heat are lucky. All right. Now, this isn't to discredit your point that the Miami Heat can make the finals. I think if there's any team that can take down Brooklyn, it's the Miami Heat. The Nets are by no means a shoo-in for the NBA Finals. And if there's one team in the East that can beat them in a 7-game series right now, it looks like Miami. Philly's looking good right now too, but I'd take Miami. I trust them more. But I don't like using the argument that the Nets don't have a guy to guard Bam. The Heat have a guy to guard KD. The Heat have a guy. First of all, no one can guard Kevin Durant. All right, we saw KD give PJ Tucker 50, 45, 48 over and over and over again in the second round last year. All right, we saw that happen. No one guards Kevin Durant, and that's the thing too. Like just saying that this guy can guard that guy, I'm kind of reiterating here. Your point, what you're saying, I think is true. Miami's got a chance at the finals, but the way you're saying it wouldn't be the way I would say it, or the reasons that I would say it. Ladies and gentlemen, but thank you very much for that, by the way. I appreciate it a lot. That's it. That's season 3, episode 6 of the OffTheDome podcast. Another fun one. It was a good weekend. The Dallas Cowboys got their shit rocked, which I think when that happens, we all kind of win in a way. Great fun. I live in Vancouver. The Whitecaps, I don't know. Why am I talking about the Whitecaps and this shit? I went to the Whitecaps game, all right? The last game of the regular season. They're going to the playoffs. It's kind of cool. I don't know what happened in my life. I'm like, shit, why not say it? Across the pond in England, Liverpool lost to West Ham, which was awesome. I'm not like a Liverpool hater or anything like that. I just like it when good teams get beat. It's great fun. Oh yeah, and people died at the Travis Scott concert, which is fucked up. I don't really want to talk about it. Whenever I see the TikToks, I quickly scroll. I'm like, I'm not gonna watch people begging to security that their friend is dead. That brings too much pain. That not gonna happen. Fuck that. Travis Scott did release 2 new singles. I thought they were gas. They were awesome. I can't wait for Dystopia to come out. And I can't wait for Utopia to come out because I think Travis Scott is sitting on the best album of the decade. He's just got to release it. He'll probably be releasing it after he gets out of prison. All right. Nevertheless, it'll come out. Ladies and gentlemen, season 3, episode 6, the OffTheDome podcast. It is over. Yeah. It's whatever. You know, living good, feeling better. Feeling good, living better. That's it. Drake Quinn said that. Peace out, y'all.